Anders. Jacob Anders. Just doesn't have the same ring to it. No Time to Die is brought to us by director Cary Fukunaga and stars Daniel Craig, Rami Malek, and Leah Sadu. So this is the 838th entry into the James Bond saga and Daniel Craig's 5th and final entry into the series. And this time around, Craig's Bond comes out of retirement again, and he also goes rogue again. Honestly, at this point, I don't know why they keep this guy on the payroll, because he goes rogue every fucking movie. Just kind of seems like a liability if you ask me, but whatever. We have a mysterious scarred villain played by Rami Malek who has acquired a deadly weapon that could, you guessed it, destroy the world. Shocker. So it's up to Bond, James Bond, to find and stop this villain's dastardly plans and hopefully save the world. So the Craig James Bond films have been extremely erratic at best. We started with the excellent Casino Royale and then went into the kind of disappointing but not quite as bad as everybody remembers Quantum of Solace, jumped back up to a high point in the franchise with the awesome Skyfall, and then there was Spectre, and anybody who saw Spectre, well, you know what was going on with that one. So following that trend, I was looking forward to No Time to Die being one of the high points. And it does do a lot of things good, but there's also some issues here. I will go ahead and say this up front, it is absolutely better than Spectre in my opinion. Though that doesn't take much because I did find Spectre to be incredibly boring. First of all, what worked here? The performances overall are great. This is what you expect from a James Bond flick. Craig in particular is fantastic, per usual as James Bond. Even though all those years ago when he was first announced to be taking up the mantle of James Bond, we were all kind of like, who and why? What the hell's going on here? The guy really proved that he is James Bond. He is a great Bond, up there with the likes of Sean Connery. Everybody else does a great job as well. However, I will say that Rami Malek's villain is not really here much. We don't get a lot of time with this character. He seems like he could be an interesting character, but we just don't see him very often. Also, Ana de Armas' character, one of the best parts of the movie. Unfortunately, she is only in one part of the movie. We don't get to see her for very long, but while she's on screen, man, this was one of the best parts. I really love this character and wish we got more of her. I would have loved to have seen her character team up with Bond throughout this movie. That would have been an awesome ride. But as it stands, what little we did get of her in the film was great. The action as well was stellar here. The James Bond series, especially the later films, has been known for having some pretty good action in it. However, there have been some scenes that aren't bad, but they're just kind of like, okay, yeah, that's fine and all, it's just whatever. You don't get any of that here. All the action scenes definitely stand out on their own. They're all extremely exciting and definitely a high point in the series. And then there's the story. The story in No Time to Die does seem a bit more digestible than some of the previous James Bond stories that we've come across. While there's definitely some twists and turns and intrigue, overall, it's a pretty basic, straightforward story. And I don't mean that as a negative. I did feel a bit more invested in the characters that were central to this story, the ones other than James Bond himself. One of the things I've found in the James Bond series over the years is that all the other characters besides Bond, and you know the regular characters that we get, but all the characters that are just for that one film that you're watching, you don't always really get very invested in them. Sure, there's been a few here or there, but many of them, while they may be memorable in one way or another, I wouldn't say I'm really invested in their character and what's going on with the story. And here, I do think they did a better job with that than they have in the past. However, also concerning the story, and this is when we get into the less than good stuff, it is really drawn out. And that goes into pretty much everything with this movie. This movie is long as fuck. I don't mean like Return of the King long and you don't realize it's that long. No, I mean like it's really long and you feel like it's long. This movie is 2 hours and 45 minutes. It is almost 3 fucking hours long. Why in the hell does a James Bond movie ever need to be almost 3 hours long? I know this much, this James Bond movie definitely didn't need to be 3 hours long. They could have cut out so much from this movie and it would have greatly improved the pace overall. I never found myself like bored bored out of my mind, but I was verging on boredom quite a few times throughout this film. And that really sucks because I was really enjoying certain parts of this movie, but other parts just drug on forever. Still better than Spectre though, I will give it that. Now there is another aspect of the film that I can't really say is bad, but I can say it definitely won't be for everybody. And that would be the end of the movie. Now don't worry, this is spoiler free. I'm not going to spoil anything or even allude to anything, but I will say that the way that this movie ends, I think is really going to divide people. Some people are going to love it, some people are going to fucking hate it. There's not going to be a lot of people in the middle on this, I don't think. And in saying that, I'm kind of in the middle about it. I'm not really sure how I felt about it. I don't think I hated it, but I can't say that I loved it. I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I'm not really sure where I stand on this thing yet. So I guess that does kind of mean that some people are going to be in the middle about it. I don't really want to say any more so as to spoil it, but just know that going into this thing, there may be some stuff in the end that you may or may not care for. Kind of like any movie, I guess, but this is a long-running franchise with decades-old fans. And before I go, I did want to comment on one thing, and that would have to do with a lot of the stuff that was surrounding the film about what they were doing with certain characters and some of the sensibilities they were inserting into James Bond. There were lots of people that were afraid that certain things were going to be done to one of their favorite characters and other characters were going to take over and kind of sideline him, and I can go ahead and say right now that is not the case. There were even things that the filmmakers said that kind of led us to believe that, but I didn't get any of that here. I'm sure if you're looking for it, sure, you can find it. You can find what you're looking for anywhere, but me, myself, I went into it fully aware of that and I didn't see it. I was happy with the way that they portrayed all of the characters, Bond included. Guys, at the end of the day, No Time to Die was pretty good. It wasn't up to the level of something like Skyfall or Casino Royale, but it was definitely leagues better than Quantum of Solace and especially Spectre. It had some great performances, a story you could get into, and some fantastic action. While the ending may end up being pretty divisive among fans, and that runtime really does get way out of control, I will say as far as a swan song for Daniel Craig's Bond, it's a pretty good time. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. But what it absolutely is worth a rent.
All he wanted was this.
I have to return some videotape.
While non-fans of James Bond might not find much to enjoy here, if you are a fan, I think you'll find something that you can get into. So if you've been looking for that 007 palate cleanser after Spectre, then check out No Time to Die, and I think you'll have a pretty good time with it. So there it is, guys, my review of No Time to Die. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you want to help out the channel, check out my Patreon in the description below and become a jarhead and get some of the awesome benefits that go along with that, like these guys. And possibly join my top tier and become a bad motherfucker like my man Greg. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, London. So I strongly considered dressing up in a suit or a tuxedo or something like that for this review, you know, for the whole James Bond thing. But with this new temporary space that I'm recording in, it is hot as fuck, and if I'd put that on, I would have been like just sweating balls. I mean, I'm already sweating fucking balls with the lights and just how hot it is in here. Throw a monkey suit into the whole mix and I probably would have just fucking passed out mid-review. But hey, with the way that the world is, who knows? That probably would have gotten me more views. Jesus, it's hot in here.